All right, welcome back, guys. So in this video, we're actually going to be taking that region that we started in the previous one and kind of creating some cities and routes for this. Again, I do have some ideas in terms of where I want the actual cities to be, as well as some of the routes. So it'll be kind of I think, a pretty easy one for us to actually do. I also want to put some landmarks on here as well, some areas where the player will be exploring, some dungeon style areas too. Again, I have some ideas for that, so I think it'll kind of go pretty quickly in terms of this. Yeah, and one of the first things I do want to start with is the actual city on the island of Itsukushima, as well as the actual shrine there too. So in terms of that, again, it's not going to be 100% what the real world looks like. I don't know why I deleted that. I should have kept it. That was actually right where I wanted it. But we'll have a city that's kind of sitting on the edge of the island, as well as a landmark for the shrine. And I actually do also want to have like a path that goes up the mountain, as well as our Victory Road over here too. So Victory Road, and then the actual Pokemon League will sit on top of this mountain. There's actually another shrine on that mountain, I know. And so I think that'll actually be a nice place for us to have our Pokemon League then too. So I think that'll be pretty nice. And I think as we kind of go along, just to ensure that I don't lose track of everything, I am going to go ahead and fill in everything too. So we'll have our Pokemon League, a city. The routes will be white in accordance to Heart Gold, Soul Silver style. And then our landmarks will actually be that nice bright green color, but I'm outlining them in black so we don't confuse them with actual land. So there's our island. That'll be kind of nice overall. And I think actually what we'll do is behind the Pokemon League, we'll actually have kind of like some sort of like explorable area inside of the actual mountains, perhaps. Not quite sure how I'm gonna draw that yet, but I like that in terms of how it looks, and that Victory Road could perhaps even wrap around the entire mountain, be some sort of like big maze that you have to kind of go up to in order to reach the Pokemon League. All right. Other than that, of course, we're going to need a city that kind of acts as a port, or kind of like an area where you can easily reach this island. So we'll go ahead and have one kind of on this beach area right here. That can be kind of like our, port city. And let's actually make it look like that. So I think that's looking pretty good overall. And then we'll also have one inside of this little mountain valley over here. Um, we'll put one kind of in this far west corner as well. You're gonna have to go up the mountains and then back down to reach that. I'd like to see a city kind of in this little alcove over here. I like having cities in alcoves, and that's kind of a weakness I think that this map might end up having in the end. Let's wait on that for now. But I do actually want quite a few cities to actually dot this Hiroshima area because it's kind of like split off. I don't want to just make that one big city. Although that's very tempting to do because I think it'd be pretty nice to do that. Just have a massive city and then a lot of smaller ones. My hope is to actually have several gyms in that area, several Pokemon gyms. So I'm gonna leave that alone for right now. Again, I have some ideas with how I want to lay that out, but I don't think I want to commit to that just yet. So we'll leave that part for now. Yeah, I think this western side's looking a little bit more barren than I would want it to, though. Let's go ahead and maybe put a city. Um, let's say over here, as well as one up top in this upper part of the mountains. Um, and then in terms of the right side, actually, sorry, let's finish up the islands first. I do want to have a we'll have like some Pokemon centers on that small island, I think, and then just kind of a landmark there for the mountain. For this mid-sized island or the little bit smaller one, we'll go ahead and put a city there. And I did also want one on this mid-sized island too, or actually one over here on the top, and then one in the middle over here as well. And then on the right side of the map, also kind of have some ideas for that. I think it'll be kind of nice to have a city down south, one in this little alcove, um, and I think probably one inside of this rift over here. So we'll put one right here. And then we'll put one by this other lower mountain that I actually have. That's actually going to be a city that has a gym to go alongside it. And then I do want to put one up here by the river, because that one will actually kind of connect to the city in the rift here, which my idea is that, like, in Japan, there's a lot of train lines, obviously, that connect the entire island. So perhaps there's a train line that goes to the city inside of the rift, and then it'll actually veer eastward and head over back to the Johto region, which I think would be pretty cool. All right, how many cities do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 cities. Oh my goodness. Maybe a little bit too many of them. But I think that's I kind of oh wait, one of them's a Pokemon League, so 14, but that's still a lot, especially since we're not even done yet. You know what? Yeah, let's do it. Big city to encompass the Hiroshima area. And I don't know how I want to draw that. I, I guess best way I can think about actually just drawing that for the Hiroshima style area is not to fill in the entire map, but to actually just outline the boundaries of the map for where I want that city to be. So I'm going to go ahead and actually fill in the rest of these first. And then we'll go ahead and work on that. All right. Might be putting too many cities in here, but I don't know. I have a lot of ideas that I want to include here. All right, so let's go ahead and just draw that city first. And actually, now that I mention it, we don't need to draw it. I can just go back to the actual land layer and fill that in with red to represent that it's a city. So we'll do that. And then for this lower layer here, we'll actually also include that inside of our city too. There we go. Just like that. All right. So that's all going to be one big city. And so we'll but it is going to have some routes connecting it because even though it's one city, of course, it crosses over water. And so it's still considered one city again, but yeah, it'll be kind of, I think, a cool little thing for us to have. All right. There we go. Kind of like the central part of our region. So in terms of that, yeah, let's go ahead and draw some routes now. We don't really have too many of them drawn out, just the ones leading to the Pokemon League. So, kind of my plans for these are, I have kind of a few big ones again. Number one is that stuff in the upper left, I want to be kind of like connected to each other. The stuff on the bottom left as well. And then the stuff on kind of like that northeastern side will have some connections too. But overall, I do want this to be a pretty explorable region. There's a lot of mountains, so we're gonna have to create some routes here and there, but I don't want it to be like super constrained like some of the earlier regions are. The routes are gonna be pretty big, pretty wide, so you have kind of like this wide range to explore. So, in terms of that, let's maybe go ahead and let's start with the landmarks first, actually. So, I'm kind of going back and forth here, sorry. But in terms of this, let's go ahead and create a landmark on top of this mountain here. That is something that I do want to have. So we'll go ahead and change this to black. Let's go ahead and create kind of like this nice nature reserve inside of this little valley down south. So I'm not going to have to fill that in because that's just going to be light green anyway. Um, we'll go ahead and maybe create like a forest in the rest of this valley. I think that'd be pretty cool. So we'll have a forest, and I'm just going to draw that as a dot, and then we'll fill it in with some trees later. Um, I'm actually going to put a dot here, and I know that seems kind of weird because it's just in the middle of the city, but I do have plans again for that section, and you might recognize that as being where the Peace Park actually is too. Um, we will also put one on this little dual peak up here. This island, nah, that island I'm just gonna leave. It's somewhere where you're gonna be able to explore, but there's not going to be like, just a specific landmark. It'll be kind of like its own little cool open area, I think, which would be, I don't know, pretty cool. Um, then let's have a tunnel right there, and then one right there as well, which we'll fill in with some light green. And we'll put, I think, something over here. One up here. No, never mind. One up. Hmm. That might actually do it. Let's see. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Yeah, I think that's fine for right now. We can add more later if we want. Let's go ahead and fill those in. Some light green. All right, perfect. Now we can actually draw any routes that we feel like we might need here. And I think, again, I have some ideas for this. We'll want to connect the upper left stuff. So I think what my plan is for those is to have I forgot one cave. We'll put a cave right there, and then we'll have a route that actually kind of extends down here. And that will lead you to the port city. Something like that. Um, then we'll have a route that extends, kind of connects that upper city to the cave. And then there would be a water route over here that you can surf to get to that city. Um, hmm. I don't want to actually draw the train lines just yet that we would have for this, so let's do something like that to connect these two cities. We'll put a bridge over here, and one bridge over there. And I think we'll kind of section off this area as kind of like a water route. That way you can kind of reach these cities down here. Just kind of realize that these routes aren't really going how I was envisioning it. With all of these mountains, it's a little bit more disjointed than I might have liked it to be. All right. I don't really know if I'm happy with that, honestly. Um, it's kind of difficult to draw routes with all of these mountains that I created here, isn't it? But we'll make do with what we can. You know what? Yeah, whatever. I'm just going to connect all these cities with some route system, I think. So that water route right here, you know what? Let me actually distinguish between the water routes by keeping them as blue, just for the sake of simplicity here. And then let's connect some of the other cities with some routes then. So I want to switch back to black to connect those. And we will put one here to connect these two cities. We'll put another one kind of along this coast. We'll put one here. And then I think we might actually want to extend the water route over here. So that way we can reach this city. And then have that maybe go into the mountain. And then that mountain can connect these two cities via that sort of like it'll have like a tunnel that leads into that valley there. Um, and then oh yeah, this is actually going to work okay. And then we'll have a path that can connect these two cities. So they're going to need some way to get their supplies. All right. Hmm. We could create a road that connects like the upper or the right-hand side with like the upper part. But again, I think I'm going to leave that for a train line. So it's not going to be shown as a route, but it'll be something that you can access later in your progression. All right, let's fill that in. Again, not really sure how happy I am with this, but I think it's coming together a little bit more. I'm getting there. Yeah, I think that looks kind of nice. We'll count how many routes we have in just a second. Let me fill in the rest of these landmarks here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, about 15 routes, which is not too bad, especially with how big some of them are. Honestly, we could probably even split them up a little bit. Um, yeah, we'll call that good. And I think in terms of routes. So, I'm going to clean this up a little bit actually. This right one here, especially. There we go. That looks a lot better. Yeah, and I think we'll go ahead and call that for our routes then overall. So in the next video, we'll go ahead and actually add in some landmarks, and then we can start to actually kind of talk a little bit more about the this region where the gyms will be, what typings they'll have. I think that'll be kind of cool overall too. So thank you guys for watching and see you in the next video.